Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Also brought to you by Wizard Race and Sports.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday, Whitney Day, live from Saratoga. Seth Merrow. We came on, I was about to say we're a little late, which technically we are, although we're also a little early. We're a little early and a little late because, of course, with the early post time today up here at Saratoga, it's a 12:05 first post. With the early post time, we started early. So the handicapper support started at 8. And I had, we have coming up a little bit later on Fritz Widman from the NTRA, National Thoroughbred Racing Association. So I'll have a conversation with him. And we have Nicole Russo from the Daily Racing Forum coming up to talk the sales. Looking forward to that coming up on Monday and Tuesday, the Facing Tipton sale, and then the New York Red sale a little bit later on. But we had a little opening here, so we ran a little long with the handicapper support. But here we are now racing across America, and all that's good stuff coming up shortly. Let me remind you that today at the Clubhouse Racebook King of the Hill contest, about $800 up for grabs there. And so you can swing down and enjoy the action. As noted, over on the far wall, our sports screens. You can watch the Olympics as well. Clubhouse Racebook today, 711 Central Avenue in Albany for a little extra fun with the King of the Hill. Bounty bet, late pick 5 at Saratoga today. Just play with your Capital OTB bet account, and you're in for a shot at the bounty today. And don't forget, tomorrow I have the $150 pick 3 bankroll. You can sign up today. Go to the website, capitalotb.com, and put your name on. We'll randomly select 10 folks tomorrow, right around noontime. So keep that in mind. I'm just trying to debate, and I guess we'll start with the replays from yesterday. Just take a little look at yesterday's stakes action, and I will tell the guys. I guess I'll start with the Oaks, and so I can cue that up down there. The Oaks yesterday, favorite was Cinderella's Dream. I like Suggesta. That one scratched out. At that point, it kind of became obvious that Cinderella's Dream was going to take a lot of action. Did at 30 cents to the dollar. I will say our colleague Anthony Mormino in the morning, like Kathy and Marissa, at 12-1 as the rank outsider. I thought that one had a good shot at taking it as they came into the stretch. The long shot is 3, but William Buick eventually gets Cinderella's Dream rolling, and she gets it done for Charlie Appleby. She has now won the Belmont Oaks Invitational and the Saratoga Oaks Invitational. So has put together a nice season so far with a nice win yesterday for Cinderella's Dream. Also on the card yesterday, one race later, it was the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. Again, that subdivision I like quite a bit of the 3-year-olds on the turf. And it winds up to be neat. I like Zverev or Zverev, I guess would be the pronunciation. At 4-1 was the second choice. Army Officer took a lot of action. That was a little bit of a head scratcher. At 2-1, that one wound up 7th. My pick, Zverev, wound up 6th. But Neat, who I had right underneath in the second slot for Rob Atras, nice win here. Winds up to be a bang finish. Neat, a neck over Laganos, a neck over Buttercream Babe. But at $9 even, Neat getting it done with Junior Alvarado on board for, again, trainer Rob Atras. So a nice win there. Did want to alert you, and we will take a little preview of a couple of races that will play into this. We will be taking nighttime thoroughbreds tonight and tomorrow night. With Del Mar, that's kind of the case because Del Mar being very popular amongst the customers, and again, going a little bit later makes sense. Today at Del Mar, The 10th race, which will go off our time, 6, 7, 8, 9:30. The Clement Hirsch, mile and a 16th. Horse to beat is going to be Adair Manor, going out for Bob Baffert. Comes in off a couple of nice wins. The Apple Blossom down at Oaklawn, the Santa Margarita at Santa Anita, and installed as the 3-5 morning line favorite. But it's a little bit intriguing. Bill Mott Sensilla over there off the win in the Fleur de Lis most recently at the end of June down at Churchill. And Brendan Walsh has Pretty Mischievous. That one coming out of a third in the Ogden Phipps on Belmont Stakes weekend right up here at Saratoga behind Randomized. So, again, a couple of horses that have been East Coast-ish, with Churchill-based, but going for more East Coast kind of trainers in the Clement Hirsch this afternoon. But, again, the horse to beat this evening, the horse to beat will be Adair Manor. And, again, tomorrow with nighttime thoroughbreds, that will play into Mountaineer. And Mountaineer, their big day, featuring the West Virginia Derby. That's tomorrow night. It'll go off at about 8:15. The West Virginia Derby, a grade 3 event for, as the Derby name suggests, 3-year-olds. $500,000 up for grabs. And there's some interesting horses in here. Brad Cox has Dragoon Guard coming off the Indiana Derby victory last time. 3 for 4 in the career so far. Agate Road for Pletcher, Rapoli and Company. Tries the West Virginia Derby tomorrow night. And we had Dean Reeves in last Sunday, and he said Society Man was headed to this race. And sure enough, for trainer Danny Gargan, off the win in the Matt win last time, Society Man also in tomorrow night, again, about 8:15 down at Mountaineer in the West Virginia Derby. So, again, some nice evening racing, Del Mar and beyond over the next couple of days available here at Capital OTB. All right, we'll take a break. She's in the green room. It's our friend Nicole Russo. We've known her for years, going back to the Saratogian days, but now she covers all kinds of racing action for the Daily Racing Forum. But one of her specialties as well is the sales. And, of course, we have the big sale coming up Monday and Tuesday here in Saratoga. New York Bred Sale next weekend, which has become very popular as well. We'll get some insight into the sales in just a moment when we come back. So stay tuned. Racing Across America continues.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Racing Across America, again, live from Clare Court. The rain has let up. We'll knock wood that holds, because we did have an overnight drizzle. And again, 1, 4, and 13 today are off the turf at this point. We'll hope that's the way it plays out for the rest of the afternoon. As promised before the break, hey, it's our friend Nicole Russo. I remember her from her days at the Saratoga, but as I said earlier, now with the Daily Racing Forum, covering all kinds of topics, but sales is one of her specialties, and one of the special sales is right up here on Monday and Tuesday. She's going to cover that and the New York Red sale next weekend as well. Nicole, good morning.
Good morning, and I'm so happy to be back in Saratoga. These are really two of my favorite sales. To me, yearling sale season, this is like a pro draft. You're really looking for, future talent. And I mean, if this were the draft, these sales would be like round one. The select sale coming up Monday and Tuesday, our first real test this year of the upper reaches of the marketplace. And the New York Bred sale, when you look at what New York Breds do in open company and the purses they're running for in New York Bred races, this has really become a national must-attend event.
And you hit a lot of the sales at various points in the country. I'm just curious, because this has become over the years, and now even the New York Bred sale, but certainly the select sale, a real social event. I mean, if the weather holds up, the backyard is now really wall to wall with people. They upgraded the facility a few years back, and I always tell people it's fun. You go, maybe you read the catalog and you start to learn a little bit about the breeding yourself for handicapping purposes later on. But I think, again, it is a real social atmosphere with a big crowd out there. Are there any other sales that are similar to this?
I think a little bit. Some of the elite sales in Kentucky are. When you talk about Keeneland September, Book 1 is a comparable level of horse to what we'll see at the select sale here in Saratoga. And certainly the breeding stock sales in November in Kentucky at Phasing Tipton and Keeneland, because you get a lot of very recognizable horses going through, when you talk Top End, Songbird, Harvard to Grace. I think the new Breeders' Cup Championship sale that Keeneland will host in conjunction with the Breeders' Cup in Del Mar will be a very social event like that. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Really, one of the special things to me about horse racing is the level of access that kind of, your everyman is afforded to the participants. I talk about, the jockeys walking back through the crowd at Saratoga. The New York Yankees don't walk through the grandstand on their way back to the dugout. So just the level of access you have in horse racing to the participants, the sale, is no exception. You could be standing in the backyard next to Steve Asmussen, who's, bidding on a future star. You never know what future stars you will see if you're a fan of the horses. I remember being here 2 years ago when Sierra Leone topped the sale. And I think you mentioned handicapping, and that's a really valuable thing at these sales. If you start to watch, these yearlings and you go, gosh, this young stallion's horses are really selling well. This stallion only stands for $10,000, but his yearlings are selling for $100,000. People really like them. And then you start seeing those horses maybe at juicy odds next year as 2-year-olds. If you really kind of play the long game, the sales are a great place to, kind of add to your handicapping toolbox.
I feel I gained a lot of experience in that. It's just knowledge is a better word. Kind of looking at the catalog and looking down the page at the black type and whatnot, and you just kind of leads you into knowing a little bit more about the breeding side of the game, which up here with the 2-year-old races can oftentimes pay off. So before we get more specifically into the sales, I noticed you also covered yesterday Hall of Fame ceremony, and it seems like it was a popular event, as it usually is.
Always. And, for me, it's very nostalgic, because that was always, when I was growing up in Rochester, New York, a little under 4 hours from here, Hall of Fame weekend was always our family trip to Saratoga, because, as I said, the level of access of racing, the number of stars of the game that you got to literally rub elbows with. And I mean, we saw that yesterday, more than a dozen returning Hall of Famers in addition to the class of 2024. And you saw people, wearing Justifier Gunrunner t-shirts or hats, bringing posters in to get signed. And it's just always a tremendous event. I think Tom Durkin, emceeing the ceremony, has always called it our annual love fest to the sport. And that's, that's really what it is. And just to reflect on the accomplishments of the people who made our game, particularly in the Pillars of the Turf category this year, Daily Racing Forum's late, great Joe Hirsch being honored. And I mean, pillar is right, but just to see the accomplishments of everybody reflected upon. It's always an incredible day.
And how was Joel Rosario with his acceptance speech?
He was wonderful. I love, he addressed, the crowd and his supporters in both English and Spanish, acknowledged a lot of people, behind the scenes who help, make jockeys, the valets, the gate crew, the exercise riders that maybe you're communicating with about a horse, kind of some of those behind the scenes people who help make jockeys' jobs great. And, I think one of the unique things about, the jockey and trainer categories in the Hall of Fame is, yes, there's, kind of a minimum activity requirement, but we can induct people while they're still active and they have the chance, not only to appreciate the recognition while they're still active, but to build on their accomplishments. And kind of a bunch of things dovetailing today, as Gunrunner was inducted yesterday, and today Joel Rosario rides Disarm, a son of Gunrunner, in the Whitney, looking to add to his Hall of Fame resume. So that's always kind of fun when you put together, the past, the present, the future.
And it was great to see Joel get a win on his induction day yesterday. That would be a fun story too, to tie that in. And when you sat down, you were talking about years ago, last year, a couple years ago, doing the 2-year-old review, and 3 of them are now in the Whitney.
Yeah, these, you talk about, the yearling sales and the 2-year-old racing at Saratoga, and, just kind of, you pull horses away in the back of your mind because you kind of never know what you're going to see. And yeah, I vividly remember my colleague Dan Illman and I, for Spa Babies on Daily Racing Form, looked at this terrific 2-year-old maiden on the Whitney undercard 2 years ago, and the top 3 across the line were Disarm, Arthur's Ride, and Crouppy, who we'll see all of them in the Whitney today. So 4 2-year-old races today at Saratoga, 4 tomorrow, including the Adirondack. You never know what you're going to see.
Yeah, and the yearlings, even more intriguing. I remember being over there the night talking to Terry Finley that they picked up Flight Line, and so you can go over there. And I will again remind people, it's crowded. I said it's crowded because it's open to anybody. You can go and you can enjoy it, and I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. There's a bar back there, and you can enjoy the bar, and just the horses are in the little paddock area walking around before they go into the ring. It's a lot of fun. And
just don't wave to a friend, or you might get a very expensive souvenir. There are bid spotters everywhere.
And that's, you said you could be standing next to somebody. That can be in the backyard too, because there's a spotter in the backyard. Yeah, and it's not unusual to have Bob Baffert standing out there bidding on outside. So, you can rub elbows with some of the notables. But let's talk a little bit about the sale. I pulled up a few from this year, and you have a great article in the Racing Forum, drf.com, where you kind of point out some of the ones that are maybe some horses to watch. And I pulled up hip number 6 by Constitution. Very good win early type of sire out of Kashmir. Give us some thoughts with some relations right underneath.
Incredible pedigree. I mean, yeah, Constitution is turning into one of the nation's elite young sires. Saw him with a graded winner just yesterday at Saratoga. He's doing it on both turf, as we saw yesterday, and dirt, the sire of Tis the Law. And this is a half to Preakness winner Rombauer. But just an incredible page underneath. The family of Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint winner California Flag, the family of European Horse of the Year Roaring Lion, to name just a few. The one thing I think that's kind of difficult for this colt is the early draw. I mean, certainly, if there's an incredible page early in the catalog, the right people are going to know it's there. But kind of the prevailing wisdom is that it's better to be a little bit later in a session or later in a sale once, we talk about the momentum kind of building, the market warming up a little bit. And, as I said, you're not going to overlook that this horse is a half to a Preakness Stakes winner just because he's hip 6, but it is a tough draw.
Yeah, I'm sure nobody wants to be number 1. And for folks who aren't familiar, that's decided. I don't know exactly how they draw, but eventually they draw a letter.
It's
and it's the first letter in the dam's name is how it'll change from
sale to sale, year to
year.
So
tries
this year
to make it fair for.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no preconceived order. They pick a letter and they start with the broodmares of that letter. So this year we're starting on C, so Kashmir.
Also took a look at hip number 62. This is by Nyquist out of Holiday Soiree. And I picked this one out because one of the siblings, Vava.
Yeah, Bava. What a fantastic year she's having. I mean, she was good as a 3-year-old last year, multiple graded winner. She's taken a step forward as a 4-year-old this year, grade 1 winner, perhaps leader of her division, aiming for the ballerina later this month at Saratoga. So this is what we call an active family. You like seeing horses from a horse's family running where they're going to kind of continue to update the page. It's almost like playing the stock market. I'm going to buy this horse and believe that the family is going to improve, especially with a filly, because you're looking at residual value as a broodmare. Will the page improve? Can I sell commercially foals out of this filly someday and recoup, some of the investment? So you are playing the stocks a little bit. And, certainly Nyquist, he was the leading freshman sire. And now as we're seeing some of his later crops come along, he's, developing into one of the nation's top 20 general sires.
So that, again, that's hip number 62. That should be fun. Those were both on the first night. The second night, hip number 134, Into Mischief, who, again, a very good sire of win early types. But this one has a notable sibling as well that we'll know from performances this year.
Yeah, another one, Corporate Power, the half sibling to this colt. Another family that could be improving. Corporate Power's kind of, got a chance to emerge as one of these second half 3-year-olds or even as an older horse. The Dam, Road to Victory, she was very, very good. Won a graded stakes winner at 2, then had a little issue and never quite came back to that form at 3. But she's one of the only fillies to ever finish ahead of 2-time champion Monomoy Girl in a race. So Road to Victory, I thought she was a very, very good race filly who just, kind of never got the chance to really reach her full ability. But now as a broodmare for Stone Street, for a terrific operation, she's getting every chance as a broodmare.
And we showed those pages on the screen. And I'll just say for folks who aren't familiar with the sales, but maybe go over to the sales and hear people talking. If you looked at those pages on the screen, some of the horses are in bold and in black type, and you'll hear black type. Black type is what you want. You want a lot of black type on the page. That signifies you're dealing with stakes winners.
Yes, absolutely. And when you look at, you want to see those black type capital letters. Those are stakes winners. Horses who are placed in stakes are going to be in black type lowercase. You want to see a ton of black type, and you'll see on a page, they go under first dam, the horse's mother, and then through second dam, third dam, fourth dam. When we look at a page and say, wow, the first dam fills the page, or wow, the second dam fills the page, that's an active family where the first dam has thrown a lot of horses, worthy of getting their name on a catalog page, or the second dam has, you'll see kind of a different number of horses listed on the page depending on how deep the family is.
And when you sat down, we were talking a little bit, the couple of notable Vekoma this year has been very interesting to me, but Complexity very interesting as well. And there's a couple of tie-ins to Complexity.
Absolutely. Complexity, a breakout freshman sire this year, already had a couple of stakes winners, here domestically in the United States on dirt, which you'd certainly expect from him. But then now he's got a group winner over in Europe on the turf from his first crop, really classy horses. And Complexity, a grade 1 winning juvenile himself, so we expected the precocity, but he has been such a breakout. And a couple of interesting tie-ins to this sale. First of all, because a share in Complexity himself will be offered at public market on the second night of the selected yearling sale, and Complexity standing at Airdrie Stud. And we've seen this in recent years with shares to, kind of up and coming young stallions offered, including just last year when they sold a share of Not This Time on the second night of the Saratoga sale for several million. So, that share is going to generate some interest. But also on the first night of the sale, a half brother to Complexity by one of this year's prominent first-year stallions, Charlatan, the half-brother to Complexity will be offered. And, you look at him and you say, wow, this could be a future grade 1 winner if he were to follow in Complexity's footsteps on the racetrack, could be a future stallion if he follows in his brother's footsteps. So immense, again, residual value we talk about all the time potentially on that colt.
So a couple angles for Complexity there. And the share is interesting. That's become kind of a thing, as you said last year. Flightline had that share.
The interest in Flightline,
a couple of years ago. So that's become kind of and Where will that appear on night 2?
That'll begin the session on night 2. It'll be at the start of the session. And of course, Complexity himself will not be here.
Yeah.
But what they did last year was they showed a video reel of Not This Time, and discussed his progeny, and Phasing Tipton Auctioneers presided over it as a live auction offering, and people could bid both on site or remotely, by phone, by the internet. Remote bidding, really, phone bidding has always been offered at sales, but we've seen a greater component of remote bidding since COVID, and the industry has kept it and made a virtue out of necessity. And we see that a lot with virtual inspection of horses, with digital sales, with remote bidding, but that will play a role as well.
I mentioned Vekoma earlier. Vekoma got off to just a blazing start to his career this year, with a lot of early, first out winners. Complexity the same. Were those in particular, Vekoma and Complexity, when their horses first came to auction, were they popular? I'm trying to
yes.
decide, did people have the crystal ball working correctly?
They were. So, popularity is not necessarily the horse who has the highest priced horses from his class, because certainly, you saw, Complexity and Vekoma were not siring, the 500,000 weanlings, the $1 million yearlings. But when you look at ROI, you take the horse's yearling average price and you compare it to the stud fee the horse was conceived on. And you did notice that both Complexity and Vekoma were averaging 5 or 6 times their stud fee, say, with their first yearlings, with their first 2-year-olds. So there was, it's kind of where the horse is placed in the marketplace. And there was, yes, I would say, a belief that these stallions were going to deliver on the racetrack when you look at that. So that's an interesting thing to look at it, as well, when you're looking at, this year's first crop yearling sires. Essential Quality, Maxfield, Charlatan, Yopon, Nixco, some of the standouts in this class. And maybe they're not going to have the $1 million horses at these 2 upcoming sales, because they're competing against the likes of Into Mischief, Gunrunner, Uncle Mo. But, what you want to do is take their introductory stud fee that these horses were conceived on and say, how well are the prices stacking up? Who's getting the ROI and who's maybe closer to the stud fee, I don't want to say underperforming, but who's not as hot. So that's kind of one of the angles you look at with these first year stallions.
That's interesting. You just hit a little list. I was going to ask you, who should we be looking at this year? Are you speculating, or has there been enough on the sales side this year that we have an idea of who we're looking at for first time?
We're hearing some of the buzz, but really we're going to need a larger sample size a little bit. Some of the kind of the predictions will start to solidify a little bit after like Keeneland September, where we'll see a lot more yearlings by these horses. Right now, we've got a very small sample size. We've had, of course, their weanlings last year. We've had the Phasing Tipton July sale, which that sale really focuses more on the horse's physical appearance than the pedigree. They're looking for the early bloomers for that sale. Now we'll have some more yearlings by these first crop stallions, particularly, the New York bred first crop stallions will get a chance to shine. But these are smaller boutique sales. We're looking for a bigger sample size. That said, the horses from this class who had the most yearlings selected for the boutique selected sale, where you've got to have an outstanding pedigree and an outstanding physical, were Charlatan and Yopon. So that says to me, not only were these exciting racehorses delivering that pedigree, they had people breeding good mares to them to get that outstanding page. And they had people, they're throwing impressive physicals where they could make this catalog. So those two are, the two who have the chance to make the biggest impact here, just on sheer numbers.
For folks who aren't familiar, again, I think our audience every year, I think we get people who may be new to the game, aren't familiar. What has been going on the last week over there as people, potential bidders, get ready to check mark various pages and put those horses in their mix? If people drive down in the area of the barns, there are all kinds of people walking around and horses coming out of the stall. talk a little bit about the mornings over there and how people have prepared.
Sure. I mean, first you get your catalog, and if you're an owner, you're going to sit down and you're going to go through the catalog with your team, with, your bloodstock agent, with, your statistics guys. Everybody has a team behind them helping select these horses. You're going to sit down and go through that catalog, and you're going to make kind of, your short list. These are the horses that I, want to look at, want to see in person. And then you're going to get over there to the sale grounds, and you're going to say, hey, I'd like to inspect this horse. And they're going to bring the horse out, and you're going to look at how the horse is put together, how he or she walks, moves athletically. Of course, these horses are not in training yet. They've never carried a rider. They've never had a gallop, but you can kind of look at how a horse walks or how a horse is put together and say, look at the hindquarters. This horse is going to show some speed, or look at the reach of the stride. This horse should cover ground well. And then, from there, you'll narrow your list down even further. And then perhaps you'll have, veterinary work done on the horse. Is there, and the consigners have information that they'll, share with you as well. Did this horse ever have an issue on, the farm where maybe he had a little bone chip removed or something? How does the horse's airway look? And, from there, you'll kind of decide, this is who I'm willing to bid on, and this is what I think the horse is worth. Now, this is also a business of relationships, and, consigners will, know the buyers well enough to say, hey, this horse isn't on your short list, but this is a horse I think will fit your program or your trainer's program. Come take a look at him or her. And then meanwhile, you'll also, again, relationships. You mentioned Flightline was a great example. You'll also have people that a trend we've really seen now, especially with these, stallion prospects, is the power of the partnership. And you'll have people saying,
they're immediately on the phone.
Yes, immediately, and we'll have people saying, hey, I know you're interested in this horse and I'm interested in this horse, rather than the two of us, bidding against each other and running up the price. Why don't we go in as partners? And we've seen it with horses like Flightline. We've seen it with horses like Sierra Leone with Peter Brandt of the Coolmore Group. They were both interested in the same horse. So, kind of those established relationships will play a role as well. It really is a business built on relationships.
Yeah. As I say, it's interesting when you're over there, because after a Flightline or whatnot, you'll see a Terry Finley on the phone and kind of solidifying the partnerships if they can right there.
Or many of the breeders might want to stay in on a horse. They'll approach the buyer and say, because you sell the horse commercially, but then, because you have a business, you have to keep it solvent, but maybe there's a horse that you really loved that you sent through, and you let it be known to the consignor or let it be known to the buyer, hey, I'd like to stay in for 5%, 10% if you'll have me. And you see a lot of that as well.
And you said, they sit down and they think, here's my price and here's what the horse made. And then you get in the auction and that all goes out the window as the bidding say. I've talked to a lot of the guys who are like, we were going to go here and then it went a little higher. So we went a little higher. And that's the beauty and the fun of the auction. That's part of the fun part of being over there, because you get a sense of that from the auctioneers, and they'll pause and explain a little more, and the bidding goes up and up. And then the crowd certainly reacts when there are seven figures, and typically there's a few of those. That's Monday and Tuesday, but I've said as well, if you can't make it Monday and Tuesday, next weekend, New York Bred Sale. And would you agree? I think it's just from a social aspect, it's become just about as popular as the Monday, Tuesday. They get a good crowd over there, and I think the New York Bred program has become so popular on the sales side of things. It's become very, very much a big part of the week as well.
Absolutely, because you look at the New York Bred Sale, the growth of the program, the investments that have been made in the program, and this is not to knock regional marketplaces, because they play a very important role in the viability of the sport. Yeah. But this has grown with the growth of the New York Bred program. This is not just a regional local sale anymore. This is a sale where your national level trainers and owners are going to come and know that they can find a graded stakes horse that can win Breeders' Cup races, that can win classic races, all things we have seen from the New York Bred program. This isn't just a local sale where my horse is going to go and, win me allowance races and have a lot of fun at Aqueduct. This could be a national level open company sort of horse. And the purses that New York Breds compete for in open company and in New York Bred company, make this a sale where you can get a great return on investment. And one thing we always note kind of with the statistics of this sale in particular is, because of the success of the New York bred program, the buyback rate at this sale is sometimes a little bit higher, because if the breeder isn't getting, what they feel the horse is worth, they'll say, well, I'll retain this horse and race it myself, because I would rather do that than take less than what I think this horse is worth. There's a little bit less risk in racing this horse for me.
And for folks who aren't familiar, again, buyback is essentially every horse has a reserve.
Yes.
And if they don't, and you'll also hear reserve not attained, or just see RNA. And that just means they put a value on the horse and that wasn't reached. And so they'll keep it, or maybe they'll wind up a sale later on, something like that. Before we let you go, what this year, with COVID, things took a little turn, and then it seemed to pretty quickly get back on track on the sales side of things. On the sales side, I think overall gives the health of the industry. How have the sales been playing overall this season?
So I think the two-year-old market and the yearling marketplace always feed into each other, because if you have a good yearling sale, if you have a good 2-year-old sale, you're going to feel emboldened to go out and restock your yearlings for next year if you're a pin hooker. If the 2-year-old sale season was good, you're going to say, gee, I feel good bringing my yearlings forward because people are going to be competing here. When you talk about the young horses, those marketplaces play into each other. So we've only had one yearling sale so far this year at Fasig-Tipton in Kentucky. But I think what we saw both in the 2-year-old marketplace, where results were pretty level from last year, and then the July yearling sale, where the results were up from the same sale in 2023. I think we're seeing a good, honest, higher than last year, but not out of control marketplace. I think people are confident. I think they're not saying, oh my God, this is going to be a great sale. We're going to double our investment from last year, but they're confident. We're going to bring good horses and the market is going to appreciate them. I think, it's a healthy industry right now. That said, it is a little bit of a polarized marketplace. One thing you'll hear is that people want a horse that checks all the boxes. They're going to be very picky. They're going to be very particular. The top of the marketplace is very good for the horses that check all those boxes. It's a little bit harder going in the middle and lower marketplaces. That's kind of the way it's always been, but I think that's been more pronounced in the years since COVID, where people maybe have had a little bit less, discretionary spending. But that being said, I think it is a healthy marketplace right now. Boyd Browning, after the Fasig-Tipton July sale, those results were up from last year. He said, I can't wait to get up to Saratoga. We've got good physicals. We've got good pages. I think it's a healthy market. I think we're going to have a very good sale.
So looking forward to it. We gave you a few to take a look at, but I will again tout Nicole's article in the Racing Forum, drf.com. You can pull it up there. She had a list of, on both nights, some hip numbers to look forward to, and that's always fun also to see the ones that are expected to go. How often do you get surprised? How often is there a horse in the sale that like the price goes up and it's like, oh, I didn't see that coming?
All the time. all the time. And, I think it just goes to show how, this is their life's work, how good some of these bloodstock agents and trainers and other people are, where, they've honed their eye over a lifetime in the sport. And, you can look at a page and look at a horse and see the obvious things, gosh, this horse has got, this horse really presents himself well. He has a nice walk, or wow, this horse is a sibling to a grade 1 winner. But, then, you get these guys where, it is their life's work.
Yeah.
They will look at a horse and see, that extra something. And, so certainly there are 7-figure horses that surprise you, but then it's even more fun, I think, as we get into some of the other fall sales, to look at kind of the middle marketplaces and see, hey, this guy is really sharp and he just bought this horse for kind of a bargain price, and let's see what this horse turns into. Like, I think one great example is Kenny McPeak, Torpedo Anna.
I was going to mention
$40,000 at a sale in October, and look at, and Kenny McPeak is as good as anybody at, finding kind of these bargain buys that turn into.
Torpedo Anna wasn't the only way. He is very good. I was going to say, watch what Kenny picks up, because he can get them for a price and they turn out to be special. We had David and Gordo sitting in. He and Cherie were in for an interview earlier in the meet, and he's one of the guys you got to keep your eyes on too. He's had a great bloodstock career, but they'll all be over there on Monday and Tuesday night. Hopefully you will be as well. It's literally 2 blocks away from the racetrack on East Avenue. If you've never been, it's a lot of fun. If you can't come Monday and Tuesday, keep in mind next week, come to the races and then go over to the New York Red Sale. That's a lot of fun as well. And it's fun also to keep up with the sales previews and reviews via the work of Nicole. We appreciate the visit this morning, and we'll check in again.
Thanks for having me. So good to be back in Saratoga.
Yeah, happy to have you back. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back in just a moment as Racing Across America continues on this Saturday Whitney Day.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Happy to be joined now by our friend Fritz Widman from the National Thoroughbred Racing Association, one of our sponsors, and we certainly appreciate that. Fritz, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. Happy to have you on board. And one of the reasons we have you on board, you handle the NTRA Advantage program. I think we have a graphic with some of our monitor is frozen here, so you won't see it.
No, you're fine.
There's
you're
like
fine.
a little Fritz, but the folks at home will see. With your partners, you mentioned we just sat down, John Deere, Big S fans and beyond.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the Advantage program and just explain for people who aren't familiar.
It's really simple. If you're in the equine industry, you are eligible to use these programs. Typically, if you own a horse, you're a member of some association. In this situation with the racetrack, even the employees at Saratoga, because NTRA, they're all eligible.
Oh, wow.
So you can buy a John Deere, you can get a Big Ass Fan at 25% off, you can get Sherwin-Williams paints at 30% off.
Oh, nice.
You can do a farmer's insurance, which is a first-timer going insurance, save you a lot of money,
Yeah.
and then Office Depot. Those are my main 5. I got a couple more that we're hoping to come on board, but it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And what I do in my position is I am a friend of the consumer and the corporation. I just bring you guys two together and I get you your discounts.
Yeah.
So it's really a win-win for us. And what, Seth, the best part about this is what we do at the NTRA, a percentage of everything we sell comes back to the industry. It allows me, to sponsor like your program, sponsor the Breeders' Cup, sponsor Kentucky Derby on this level. I do a bunch of other stuff. I sponsor equestrian events like the 3-day event in Kentucky. I sponsor some stuff all over, and the AQHA, because every equine organization is eligible for my, not just thoroughbreds.
Yeah.
I got AQHA, I got Polo, I've got USCF, I got them all. And it's really cool. I mean, it's a great program. And
so how would somebody physically take advantage? Like, I want to buy Sherwin paint. What do I do?
They call us.
Okay.
So they'll call our 800 number. It's online. If they go to equinedistance.com, they can pull up the 800 number. They call us. I have reps all over North America. Most of them in my Lexington office. I've got one in Oklahoma, and they tell us what state they're in. We send them the rep, and the rep walks them through and tells them what to do. It's easy peasy. It really is.
And I had a graphic too. I'm sure the guys have put it up, or will put it up, that has the web address, the NTRA/Advantage.
Yes.
And that'll have all the information.
That's all they need to do. And like I said, you just we prefer that they call us. With John Deere, which is our biggest client, they have to call us. We get a lot of clients that will go to John Deere right away, and they'll do the deal and settle. They're not going to get the discount because they didn't call us first.
Yeah.
So we encourage everybody to call us first. Yeah.
So again, anybody involved for our audience, anybody involved in the horse racing industry, take advantage.
If you're employed, or if you own a farm, if you own horses, sometimes there's two parts of the program. If it's just a hobby, like you have horses you just got to play with, it's a different program. You still get the discounts. But if you're full-time, discounts up to 28% with John Deere. It's pretty significant.
So you say, like, if I was a ticket seller?
All employees are eligible.
Nice.
All employees are eligible that work at racetracks.
Yeah, so take advantage. Live up to the name of the program.
Well, you're eligible too, though, and you're eligible too.
All right.
You work in the industry.
All right.
So you just need to call us, and we'll make sure we paint your house.
NTR, so you're based in Lexington?
We're based in Lexington. I'm there with Keith and Michelle and everybody. And, Michelle couldn't make it up here, but she is killing it with the NHC. The NHC is doing great. And tell you what, you get qualified and get to Vegas in March. It's crazy.
We covered it for a couple of years here on OTB TV, and it was a lot of fun. And I'd sit in here on Sunday mornings. My co-host is Steve Bick. And I would say, the rest of the year, I'm in a studio down in Albany in the afternoon doing handicapping. Well, that week, I'm sitting there, and I just do break-ins during the afternoon. But the rest of the time, I had Bick on the computer. And I keep telling him, it's funny, I thought, when he originally went out there, I said, radio covering a handicapping contest, that doesn't seem, but it's great because he brings over guys like Paul Matisse and just veteran players.
He does a phenomenal job. And there's also, beat Bick,
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it's something else. I mean, I was involved in it early in the 2000s with Keith, and then Michelle came in, and I left for a short period of time, and Michelle took it over, doing an unbelievable job. And the money is, I mean, you go in there and you're going to win $800,000 or $750,000, whatever it is, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And you've been there. The room is electric. But I'm with you on Steve. How do you pull it off? But he does.
Yeah, no,
and he brought Rick Hammersley in this year, and they sat there and interview everybody. And
it's really entertaining.
It is. When's the last time you were there?
It had to be like 3 years ago or so, but it was like last year because I want to play. After being there, I want to be in the room. For folks who aren't familiar, the NHC out in Vegas National Handicapping Championship. And if you don't play contests, jump on their online contest. NTRA does some contests live here. We have some on our OTB website. We sent a guy out to, we had the local guy out, former state trooper. And it's just fun. It's like a horse players convention, and it's a competition, but man, everybody, it's just super friendly. And
it's a fraternity, and it's great. And we've got, we really have, when I did it, very few women were involved, but now it's just exploded. And, we have 1,200 people in that room without spouses to come in if we have seating, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. And go to NTRA.com, look at the NHC, drop it down. You become a tour member for very little bit of money, but if you're a tour member, now you're eligible for everything. There's free tournaments, there's cash tournaments. A lot of guys like play cash, win money.
Yeah. We
got professionals. That's okay. You can go up against the professionals. You can.
Yeah.
And you can succeed, and the money is staggering.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. And you mentioned Beat Bick. We've talked about it when Steve's been in here on Sundays.
Yeah.
Go to the website and Beat Bick. It's every Saturday and Sunday. He picks 2 stakes races. He picks a horse. You can either pick his horse or go against, but if your horse wins, you qualify and then there's a tournament for all the qualifying players coming up in September that will send one of the folks to the NHC. So I qualified.
And what's cool about it is you qualify, and whoever you qualify with is responsible for getting you there. So they pick up the airfare, get your hotel rooms all taken care of, and then we do the rest. You don't pay for a breakfast during the tournament. You don't pay for lunch. Dinner, you're on your own. But they're usually in their room. It's like a final exam. They're cramming. But no, it's pretty special.
No, it's and I play online. I don't play. I can't just because of that. I can't play as much as I like.
Yeah.
But I play online. And last year I missed. It was one of the last. It was in March. It had to be one of the last, and I missed by like $1.90.
Is that crazy?
Oh,
is that crazy? Well, then the thing is, what's really exploding now is when the tournament is March. I think it's March 14th to 16th this year. The day before, we have a last chance.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe how many people come in for that last chance.
Yeah.
I think Michelle had a record last year, and it was staggering.
Yeah.
But they're all trying just to get into that last one, or if they're already qualified, they'll qualify for the next year's. But it's cool. It's cool.
Know if you Ellis Starr, I think, was playing in
Ellis did. Yeah, he was in it.
Yeah. We talked to him on the phone just prior to that. And again, they're all different price points to qualify. I do a lot of times. I'll play like the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Play the little $18 one that gets you into the Saturday qualify.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's very reasonable. It's a lot of fun. And if you get out to Vegas, I guarantee you will have a great time. And I will also note, were you in Vegas this year, or were we watching from?
No, I go every year. It's all hands on deck. Everybody has to work.
Oh, okay.
Everybody,
because I know,
Michelle needs all the help
now
she
that I'm
can
thinking
get.
about it, not only hands on deck yet, Brian Skirkin is like the MC, so you're bringing extra hands.
We have to bring in people to help us out, and then I handle the sponsorships with Michelle, so I got to deal with Robert Forbeck and all those people that come out there. So it's a long week for us as employees, but it's very rewarding and it's a lot of fun.
I was going to bring up though that there's a cut at the end of Saturday, and then there's a cut to get to the final table. But the winner this year came into Sunday. It was the last 77 people, I think, and I think he was 72.
And the top 10 go to the final table.
At the beginning of the day, he was 72 and wound up winning.
So what we do is, what's really cool is when we get to the final 10, all the staff gets there. Michelle gives us one of them, so we're in charge of one person, and it's life changing, and it's so critical because we want to make sure they make their bets properly and make sure. And so I get this one guy. I had this one guy last year. I can't remember his name, but he moved up to like third. But it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, and they're nervous. I mean, can you imagine winning $800,000? I mean, out of nowhere. I mean, it's nerve wracking, but it's nerve wracking for us because we want to make sure they make their bet properly.
Yeah.
So they have to make their bet. They got to show us the ticket. It's got to match their piece of paper because we give it to our crew to put it up on the screen. But it's pretty intense. But it's so much fun.
It is.
And I encourage everybody. Seriously, it's not that much money to get involved. There's a lot of free tournaments and get you qualified, and it's something else. And we take care of you when you come to Vegas.
And I always say the handicapping tournaments also, I think, improve your handicapping skills because you got to search out for a little value and whatnot. So keep it in mind.
And they do, and everybody's there. Equibase with Rhonda Norby, they do a great job with their stuff. The data racing forums there. A lot of the not OTBs, but a lot of NTRA or First Racing, FanDuel. I mean, they all come out there, and it's. But the final table is pretty cool.
Yeah, we got to get out there.
So before we get off the air, though, what's your horse today? I need a horse.
Well, I do a dark horse play of the day every day for the Dark Horse Mercantile in downtown Saratoga. If you haven't visited, stop by.
Okay.
Tell them I sent you.
Right.
They're a lot of fun. There's another sister store down the street, Impressions.
Yeah.
They're right on Broadway. They're a lot of fun. Uncaged, the number 5 horse in race number 5.
Okay.
Todd Pletcher, first time starter, a little bit interesting.
Well, Todd and I went to school together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm going to take a shot today. I'm going to look at his charge at a 30-1. I'm going to go. That horse. That horse always. He's not 30-1. He should be 30-1. But I'm going to. I was just in the restaurant you told me to go to, and all the National Treasure people in there, Jack Wolf and everything. But I'm a Todd fan, so I play Todd, and then I'll give you one for you. The second race, I think that Tis the Law is going to some Spirit, Tis the Spirit or something. First time, I think it's a first timer. Tis the Spirit.
Spirit of the Law.
The Spirit of the Law.
From our friends at Sakatoga.
Jack
They had
Knowlton,
a winner the other day.
So Keith gave me that horse today.
Is Keith coming to town? I got to get Keith on.
He's here. He came in for the round table.
Okay.
We had a big pack board meeting legislatively, and then he's leaving tomorrow morning.
Oh,
so he didn't get a chance to get up. He asked me to do it. I'm wearing the flag today. So,
and will Tom be in town?
Tom, I think Tom came in for the roundtable pack board meeting. I think he's gone. I think he's already out of town.
Oh, okay.
So, but
so you are the rep. But we're happy to have you.
We'll get Tom next year.
All right.
Does that work? Maybe. Are you up here for Belmont?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we're all up here for Belmont. Maybe we can squeeze Tom in next year during your 4 days of the Belmont up here.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be here 2 more years.
At least one, certainly.
Yeah.
But that was fun this year, certainly.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
We appreciate you stopping by. Fritz Widman, again, from the NTRA. And if you're involved in the industry, take advantage of the Advantage program. And we'll flash up the website address, and you can swing by there for a little more info or the contact info as well. Take advantage. And again, get involved in the NHC. You will not regret that either. Fritz, appreciate the visit.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Seth. Yep.
All right, we'll wrap it up for this Saturday Whitney morning. Again, early post time, 12:05 today. The NTRA pregame will kick off a little bit early as well, so keep that all in mind. Back at the regular time tomorrow morning. Handicapper support at 9. Loose on the lead with Steve Bick at 10 a.m. We'll see you then.
Turn your love of racing into savings with equine discounts through the NTRA. Purchase through equine discounts and receive great savings on well-known brands like John Deere, Sherwin-Williams, Big Ass Fans, Farmers Insurance, and Office Depot. Join thousands of other equine members and support companies that give back to the sport we all love. Call 866-678-4289 or visit equinediscounts.com to start saving today.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Also brought to you by Wizard Race and Sports.